Yeah. Oh, what? Yeah. You look at me like I'm a threat, but really I'm just a blessing. This is what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. They know I'm the truth. On some that'll change your perspective. I know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. Walk around stressing, not realizing life is a blessing. Don't know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. And we don't get no but your flexing. All of your antics and presents. We know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. I can see it in your eyes, yeah, it's codependence. When you spend your time, see you're lacking vision. When you compromise, got no independence. You see me living life and you get offended. Yeah, you get offended. But come on to the other side. I am the light so you cannot hide. Trying to fit in, got you dead inside. Tried to kill me but I cannot die, yeah. I'm alive and you cannot take it. I'm on the rise and this crown I'm taking. On the winning side and there's no mistaking. No, you cannot fake this. You look at me like I'm a threat, but really I'm just a blessing. This is what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. They know I'm the truth. On some that'll change your perspective. I know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. Walk around stressing, not realizing life is a blessing. Don't know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. And we don't get no but your flexing. All of your antics and presents. We know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. Where your real friends at? Somebody tell me where your real friends at? Where your real friends at? I know you don't feel that. Yeah. But come on to the other side. I am the light so you cannot hide. Trying to fit in, got you dead inside. Tried to kill me but I cannot die, yeah. I'm alive and you cannot take it. I'm on the rise and this crown I'm taking. On the winning side and there's no mistaking. No, you cannot fake this. You look at me like I'm a threat, but really I'm just a blessing. This is what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. They know I'm the truth. On some that'll change your perspective. I know what it's like to be real. Come on, feel. Walk around stressing, not realizing life is a blessing.
This is pain, this is youth. This is all the hush thoughts in your room. This is for the first time out with your crew. Getting f***ed up, find joy in the bruise. Eyes with the power to seduce. Hand me the aux, we could cruise. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose.
Freedom, such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. a freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Many will cross oceans to find its shores, but its borders can be found within. Its name is heralded by all nations and tongues, though most never recognize its face in their lives. They welcome and wish to see its benefits, yet resist and refuse to walk out its precepts. Though many attempt to destroy or hide its reality in their futile effort for unwarranted control, the truth of freedom will outlast any of the dissipating lies that seek to blot out its existence. Freedom is not the erasure of all boundaries, but rather the embracing of those that are healthy and true. It is not the denial or blame of consequence, but rather the right and pathway into full responsibility of every outcome in your life. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a life full of fulfillment.
And I'm giving you what you're asking for. Future told no time for digging up the past, bruh. Talking about all the people that didn't last. And scarcity is time for using what you have. Just be grateful, the strong is always the last. Things are crooks who settle for weaker paths. People's choices are hardly the ones chosen. I'm stepping out of the grave, that's your omen. Yeah, yeah, flower child, in progression, warrior, feel my presence, sagacity, pressure, from dead broke, going affluent, underdog, made a past of it, on top of this shit, what's happening, born in darkness, came to life, within the masses, eternal life.
You give me new life, 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 oh, you give me new life. You give me new life. You give me new life.
They locked me out, outsider. Felt the pressure in the room when the boy beside him. Despite disguises, they can see the difference. Cubic don't shine the same in the diamond's presence. Them lights don't hold the same when the prophet's present. Impossible to tame when the locks are missing. The blocks are missing, the box is missing. Reach your hand and find a switch, but I'm wired different. You can think we work the same, but a profit different. You can think we preach the same, but the cloth is different. Sort of a maverick, I don't fit you boys' equations, I resist the average. Y'all playing Madden, I'm running real plays, I just make it happen. Got the doubt of saying who would've thunk of it. Life gave me the assist, made a dunk of it. I'm the one the papers chasing, soul is dumb rich. Truth's number one supply, you can come get it.
You give me new life. 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 Oh, you give me new life.
Hey, let's run it back. I think I got one more.
You give me new life. You give me new life.
You wasting time waiting, thinking I'ma fall behind. I'm the future, baby, I ain't even seen my prime. Culture spinning on my axis, so I'm never late. You just left to try to catch the waves that I create. But this ain't surfing, no, these waters for the boat. You never catch it from just talking about it, Lord knows. Got them not from the bars I wrote a decade ago. That's how you know when it's the truth, 'cause it'll never get old. And I know you getting tired of the lies when they catch you in the vulnerable times, then they're robbing you blind. I know they look like sheep in the eyes, but they're wolves in the mind. Take your innocence to hang you to dry. If you question anything that they try, or speak from a confident mind, and there's tears in your eyes, and it make you wanna go, and it make me wanna go on them, hang them from their feet. I just do it with my speech.
You give me new life. 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 Oh, you give me new life.
This is pain, this is youth. This is all the hush hush thoughts in your room. This is for the first time out with your crew. Getting f***ed up, find joy in the bruise. Eyes with the power to seduce. Hand me the aux, we could cruise. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose.
Freedom, such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. A freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Many will cross oceans to find its shores, but its borders can be found within. Its name is heralded by all nations and tongues, though most never recognize its face in their lives. They welcome and wish to see its benefits, yet resist and refuse to walk out its precepts. Though many attempt to destroy or hide its reality in their futile effort for unwarranted control, the truth of freedom will outlast any of the dissipating lies that seek to blot out its existence. Freedom is not the erasure of all boundaries, but rather the embracing of those that are healthy and true. It is not the denial or blame of consequence, but rather the right and pathway into full responsibility of every outcome in your life. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a life full of fulfillment.
Today I'm gonna live my dreams and accept how God created me. I won't let confusion, frustration, insecurity stop me. So I've made up in my mind that I'll be all that I'm meant to be, yeah. And there's nothing in this world that I let block me. I gotta get what's mine, yeah, yeah. No hater can stop my favor. It's not determined by you anyway. And I've been waiting for this moment in my life, so I ain't worried about what he has to say. And please believe me, you don't have to bet on me, cause I'll bet on me any day. I gotta get what's mine, yeah, yeah. What's meant for me, I gotta get what's mine, yeah, go get it. I gotta get what's mine. Yeah, yeah. I gotta get what's mine. 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 I gotta get what's mine.
I'm giving it, I'm focused. I've got my mind right, it's same focus. Cause I never knew what I had until you came in, you worked it out. Said I'm strong and I'm moving on. I'm thankful cause you showed me that my deepest fear was not my failure, but that I'm powerful beyond measure. I thought who was I to be brilliant and change the world? I'm freeing all of my enemies to change the world.
Yeah, I believe in this season that we'll rise above all our seasons, flying high for a lifetime. So y'all move over cause it's high time. Believe me, we going somewhere. The ground's fit good and we ain't staying here. Forget reminiscing and grieving, cause we exist for this reason, to bring back hope to our daughters, make more men of our brothers. This legacy to our fathers, that security to our mothers, to spread more light to the nations, pursue all peace with all patience, presenting God-like lifestyle. Y'all thought wrong, but it's right now. Donate millions to children, secure our future from billions. Culture shifting how you're living. Don't try to keep up, man, we different. We gon' live how we want to. Kids don't eat like they want to. Trillion dimensions through our buildings. Cooking up culture in our kitchen. Celebrating forever.
This is pain, this is youth. This is all the hush hush thoughts in your room. This is for the first time out with your crew. Getting f***ed up, find joy in the bruise. Eyes with the power to seduce. Hand me the aux, we could cruise. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose.
Freedom, such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. A freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Many will cross oceans to find its shores, but its borders can be found within. Its name is heralded by all nations and tongues, though most never recognize its face in their lives. They welcome and wish to see its benefits, yet resist and refuse to walk out its precepts. Though many attempt to destroy or hide its reality in their futile effort for unwarranted control, the truth of freedom will outlast any of the dissipating lies that seek to blot out its existence. Freedom is not the erasure of all boundaries, but rather the embracing of those that are healthy and true. It is not the denial or blame of consequence, but rather the right and pathway into full responsibility of every outcome in your life. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a life full of fulfillment.
They're treating you mean, they're killing your dreams, they're pleading esteem. They're jealous of us, they're burying your potentials too much. If you would just lift up yourself, believe in you, there's really nothing else that they could ever do. They hiding the truth, they following you, cause you got the juice. But that is enough, it's time to step up, I realizing, yeah, you're more than they could ever handle. I pray that you're hearing me. You're perfect as you really are. The world will see just own who you are.
Hourglass, all class, maybe wanna spend some time with you. Girl, you know what you mean to me. I believe you were made for me. Girl, you better use your own it. It's time to let the world know it. Cause what's a star to the world if it hides its light from the world below it? I done seen them competing with you, non-stop. You ain't wanna see them do it, steady measuring but never measuring up to it. They could never do it, but friends soon turn to enemies. Don't let them take what's meant to be. Just make that pain your energy. Just own who you are, just
own who you are.
This is pain, this is youth. This is all the hush hush thoughts in your room. This is for the first time out with your crew. Getting f***ed up, find joy in the bruise. Eyes with the power to seduce. Hand me the aux, we could cruise. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose. Some nights I feel like I got nothing to lose.
Freedom, such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. A freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Many will cross oceans to find its shores, but its borders can be found within. Its name is heralded by all nations and tongues, though most never recognize its face in their lives. They welcome and wish to see its benefits, yet resist and refuse to walk out its precepts. Though many attempt to destroy or hide its reality in their futile effort for unwarranted control, the truth of freedom will outlast any of the dissipating lies that seek to blot out its existence. Freedom is not the erasure of all boundaries, but rather the embracing of those that are healthy and true. It is not the denial or blame of consequence, but rather the right and pathway into full responsibility of every outcome in your life. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a life full of fulfillment.
Welcome to The Way, an Iexist event. I want to say on behalf of everyone here that we're honored to have you join us for today's training and session. As a coaching and counsel company, we've been serving others since 2018, and we know that your growth, success, and fulfillment is vital, not only to yourself, but to everyone around you. And it's at the core of our heart and mission here that everyone possible be pressed and empowered to lead a life that is full of fulfillment. Thank you so much for accompanying us on this experience. We're looking forward to see how this will impact the many of you. Share this with your family and friends, all those that you love, to grant them the opportunity to partner with you as you become all that you are. Enjoy.
All right. Welcome to the Way and Iexist event, an Iexist broadcast, an Iexist presentation. Thank you so much for joining. As always, I am Bryan Pharr. Welcome to an opportunity, a new opportunity to learn, to grow, to be, to exist on an entirely different level. I won't be in front of you long. I've gotten all the comments about the people getting scared because they're like, oh my God, this is such a long presentation. Listen, at least 40 minutes of it. All right. We have a pre-show and then we have a 10-minute break intentionally in between. And that's just so in case, you need to use the bathroom, you need to cater to some of your guests during a watch party or something like that. I wanted to make sure that you had enough time to do so. And then we still come back and get to some great material. Listen, I thought about you. We thought everything through. And I thought that would be appropriate also just to make sure you had some time to get yourself together and enjoy it as much as possible. Some of you who will be and who are doing watch parties, you're going to want to go refill the Cheeto bowl or something like that. It's what it's there for. All right. We used to actually do these in person and we issued the same format at the time and it was beneficial. It gave people a little break. So anyway, all I'm saying is at least 40 minutes of it is going to be pre-show and a little time for you. So it ain't as long as you think it is. All right. I was just joking before we started about how this one's probably going to be one of the shorter lessons and how we need to not view that as a good thing. All right. It's an okay thing. It's okay to be long. It's okay to be short. But I don't want to ever put it in mind that it's a good thing necessarily, because if it's longer, listen, you're just getting more good information. All right, I'm done with my preliminary speech for today. I just want to get to the lesson at this point. So I'll start here. For a long time, I was concerned about one simple idea. I think I mentioned maybe in one of the maybe on something I posted on social media that I'm a visionary mind. All right. I don't have a lot of time to dive into that, but what I've seen in life, what I've experienced, what I've coached, what I've talked to, I make it a spectrum. Not necessarily a category, but all of us normally are somewhere on the spectrum of highly managerial or highly visionary. All right. So the reason why I make it a spectrum and not a category is because just because you're highly visionary doesn't mean you don't have any managerial aspects to you. Just because you're highly managerial doesn't mean that you have no visionary aspects to you. But for those of us who lean either way, there are some benefits that you're going to recognize in a managerial mind that you may not have as a visionary. And then there are some advantages that the managerial mind will notice in the visionary that they don't personally have. Let's look at it a different way. All right. Let's look at feet on the ground as managerial people. Let's look at head in the cloud people as visionary. I'm a very head in the cloud person. Because of that, my mind stays on the future a lot. All right. I'm always digging up what could be the future of anything. Let's just say for Iexist. Let's just say for my own personal life. Maybe if I'm coaching, I'm not just looking at you from a right here and now standpoint. Let's look into the future. Let's see how we need to direct our steps, our lives in order to get to a projected outcome or a desired outcome. All right. That's another thing that's unique about coaching. I noticed that some people that will put themselves in the therapy category will be spending a lot of time kind of rehashing and dealing with healing the past. And so there's a lot of rehearsing. There's a lot of, let's try to change our perspective about what happened. All right. Coaching is a very aggressive approach to building out your future. So if you go on our website today, we have a why coaching page to kind of put you in the know about what coaching is specifically for us. And I outlined there some of the same things that I'm saying, maybe not in the same way. But we outline how, again, coaching is this aggressive pursuit. It's an aggressive attack on your future. All right. Putting things in line, aligning yourself with the desired outcomes that you want for your life. Why am I saying all of this? By being a visionary mind. One thing that's always concerned me a little bit is every now and then people will say to you, as a visionary mind, and this is how you know, this will be one of the clues to whether or not you are a visionary mind or anyone in the room. They'll say, man, you're just so ahead of your time. You're just so ahead of your time. This, what you have. And here's why I hated that a lot of times, because it was almost like what you're doing now is no good until a future date or something like that. So it's like, well, the world just has to catch up to. All right. Now, let's look at some of our filmmakers. Let's look at some of our book writers. My friends and I are enjoying shows that have been made today that books were written from which the shows were gathered or created 100 years ago. Very interesting concept that a person could be so futuristic in their mind, so future oriented in their approach to even writing a book. And we're not just necessarily talking about truths here, right? Truths will never die, no matter what generation or anything like that, because truths don't die. All right. They're always fresh. Every generation, every year. Let me stop here and say, never make the mistake of thinking that an old truth doesn't have any truth today. All right. If it's truth, if it is truth, you have to qualify it as truth in the first place. Then there is an evergreen quality that it'll have. The reason why people still preach using things like the Bible, most popular book in the world, why people can look at some of the self-help books, things like that. I could name a few that have aged very well because the truth doesn't change, although the generations change. The authors are long gone. All right. The livers of the truth that were recorded are long gone. But the truth remains. It remains. It remains. It's evergreen. It's always fresh. All right. So getting back to this idea of being ahead of time, we're not talking about truth here. We're just talking about predictive things. You had somebody in, 1902 writing about spaceships and things that we're still exploring for the most part. But even then, there were no space shuttles that had gone to the moon or attempted to go to Mars or anything like that. All right. But you got to imagine somebody was already writing about it. And actually, some of them never saw the things that they wrote about actually coming to fruition. It's actually an amazing thing if you think about it. All right. That person, those people were quite literally ahead of their time. If I'm writing or if I am producing a show in 2025 or further about a book that was written, let's use that same date, in 1902, using
I'll blow your mind even further using some of what they wrote about as still a future event to come. How far were these people ahead of their time? It's actually just think about it for 2 seconds. It's an amazing thing. On the flip side of that, I've never enjoyed that term. I don't want people to have to catch up to me. It's like, it's a weird thing, right? Because all it feels like in real time is a lack of appreciation for what might be genius. It's super interesting. I don't know how else to explain it. And so you got to go through all of these phases of maybe rejection, all of these phases of misunderstanding, all of these phases of that's not important to us, all of these phases. And so there's just a weight that comes with it that is frankly, not enjoyable sometimes. And I say that as a visionary mind. And I'm saying that maybe from an empathetic standpoint to those of you who are highly visionary, that lean far visionary on that spectrum. Being ahead of your time has its weights and has some aspects to it that just, don't feel good. So I haven't enjoyed it for that reason. There are songs and most artists, again, visionary minds, things like that, could actually understand what I'm saying now. I've written songs 10, 15, I don't know, like maybe going on 20 years ago, that some of the material, just now exploring to actually record and release things like that. All right. That ain't always the worst part, but maybe presenting it 15 years ago and then there not being understanding of it can be a hard thing. So again, I'm just continually empathizing with some of you who I know always have to deal with this idea of being ahead of your time. So that's the negative end of it. But for this conversation, I want to bring out a positive view of the idea of being ahead of your time. It has its negative things, but we want to bring out some positive. Now, here's where I started to gather a new perspective. Here's where I started to appreciate maybe the idea of someone being ahead of his or her time. I spoke recently in one of the previous presentations about someone who was talking to me about how he retired early. I think I brought up another scenario where there was a guy who built some of the largest mansions in the nation. One of the mansions, I believe, is still the largest in the U.S. to today. And I believe that he died somewhere. I still didn't look it up, which I should have. I didn't know I'd be saying this. He died around the age of 54, I believe. Today, the mansion that he built that is the largest in the country is still feeding families. It's still providing an inheritance for his own family. All right. There's people, because this mansion has turned into a historic land site, because it's beautified every year to be presented to tourists from all around the world. It's created jobs. It's done a lot of things that are good for the people that are still managing it and who are helping to maintain it also. All right. So not just managing it as in the people that are setting up the dates and things like that and, making sure the money is coming in, but also those who are working for the actual house and the grounds themselves. I would say that those people Specifically, the two I just mentioned, the guy that was telling me he retired early, the mansion owner and builder who didn't make his living from that, but ended up doing that. These people were also people who were ahead of their time. Not necessarily in the way that they were just predicting, aliens coming or something like that, whatever the thing. But more so, or let's maybe something more solid to you all, not necessarily predicting the coming of a savior, but because they lived so ahead of their time that what they produced started to produce for others beyond their lifetime. All right. And that's just specifically for the second example that I gave. So here's what I need you to see. As much as I hated the idea of living or being ahead of my time in certain aspects, I believe we should all reach. We should all strive. We should all press ourselves to be ahead of our time. So let's give a quick example of what that means for me today. I'm just taking a spin on the term. So the guy, let's say, that has retired at the age of 30. Let's say that he didn't start working till around 19, 20. Or let's say he got an early start, was working when he was 15. That means that maybe in the course of 15 years, he was able to outpace his own life. For somebody to say I retired at the age of 30, it means that I have enough income, enough reserve for the rest of my life, at least. All right. Which means I outpaced my own life by X amount of years. What's X amount of years? How many ever years I have left? Let's say this person lives to 90. All right. If at 30, I've already acquired enough to fund my entire life. All right. This is the business and leadership edition, by the way. So we're going to be talking really practically. If I funded myself for the rest of my life at the age of 30, let's just say in 15 years, and I'm going to live 90 years, I have outran my own life times over. Now, if I could do that by the age of 30, how much more could I do? Think about this. With more knowledge, with more experience, with more contacts, with more money, and all these things over the next 15 years. And then the next 15 years after that. And then the next 15 years after that. Now, here's the question that's going to be coming to most people. Well, why in the world would I still keep working after I've acquired enough for my own lifespan? What in the world then becomes my drive? And here's the problem. You're selfish in your approach. If you don't know why you would work past being able to retire yourself at the age of 30, all you're thinking about is yourself. All right. Here's why we should strive to be ahead of our time. Because if I can outpace my own life, right? If I can outlive in terms of the income, the resource required to live comfortably for the rest of my life at the age of 30, can I not do that for those to come, even from me? Now we're getting into a different game. Listen carefully. How many generations can I outlive? How many generations can I get ahead of? All right. I've already outpaced my own life, right? So in this regard, I am ahead of my time. How many more lifetimes can I get ahead? All right, so some of your hats are switching already. Now we're thinking from a builder's perspective, from a legacy perspective. Again, I will say this one more time, at least. I can't promise this. We should all make it our mission to be ahead of our time. What that means in this context is, can I get ahead of my time? Can I gain enough resource? Can I gain enough income? Can I gain enough of whatever I need to not only succeed, live great, comfortably in terms of finances in my lifetime, but can I outpace my life and start getting ahead in my child's life? And then guess what I can do after that? If I achieve it, I can get ahead in my grandchild's life. And guess what can happen if I do that? I can get ahead in my great-grand's life. Now, I don't know if all of us know this. I'm sure many of us, if not all, most, know that there are people who have outpaced their own life to the point to where generations after them do not have to worry. All right. And for all of you who also now have a little bit of kickback in your soul about this concept, I don't want to spoil my kids. If I leave a whole bunch of stuff, then they're going to end up, again, being spoiled, and, they might become entitled and all these things. And I've said this before, and a lot of us get the idea from this, you spare the rod, you spoil the child, right? Notice it didn't say if you give a child something, you spoil them. No one has been spoiled by things alone. What I need to do is to set up systems where the person or the individuals can have responsibility in the things. Okay? A lack of responsibility is what spoils a child. A child can have near nothing and still be entitled. 100%. All right? Because it's not the things that spoil a child, the lack of responsibility. Whether for themselves, the world around them, the people around them, things like that will spoil a child, okay? I won't go too far into that. But that's just for those of you who have kickback in your soul concerning what I'm saying, because you don't want to leave a lot of things. And I understand. I'm not saying I'm speaking from whatever, some stoop in saying this. I understand that some of these things are harder to get around if there's certain things being provided, but I promise you, I know what I'm saying. Let me just put it to you this way. There's no way that the Bible could say a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, which means that it's a biblical qualification for just being good. There's no way it could say that if you automatically spoiled a child by leaving something to them. If you want to go get biblical and things like that, just study some texts, even historically. Just because a king left a kingdom to a child did not mean that child was a spoiled brat. Those that took up arms and responsibility, that cared for the nation, they were heading and things like that, were not spoiled children. Again, things don't spoil the child. A lack of responsibility does. All right. Let me pitch this to you again. Now we need to get to the point of saying within ourselves, I literally want to start outpacing my life. Why? It's going to be necessary at some point that we realize that it's just a good thing to do. To not only outpace my life in terms of finances, resources, all these things, but to start funding the future of generations to come, whether from you or to you in a sense of mentorship or whatever the situation is. However you need to do it, you need to start thinking about others. It's selfish not to. And let me say this here, you have the power to do exactly what I'm saying. I promise you. Within all of us is the power to get wealth. 100. You have to want to do it the right way. You have to want to pay the cost for it 100%, because it's going to cost you. All right. There's an exchange that's happening, but you do have the power to get wealth. Your children will appreciate it. Generations to come will appreciate it. If people had not left us even some of the pleasures and the things we enjoy because they were thinking ahead of their time, then we would be, a lot of us would be lost, to be very honest with you. If people hadn't been creating businesses that outlived their own lives, right? Grocery stores that we still go to, that the founders are gone, dead, where would a lot of us be? Because many of us don't know how to, the first thing about gardening, right? Where would we be had people not thought about others? All right. And I want you to even get this in your mind, even entrepreneurship and things like that. You got to stop looking at these things as greed. Why? Because we need to be making room, giving ourselves the opportunity to do what? In whatever means is best. That's not illegal. That's not, you know what I mean? Conniving, to get ahead of our time. I want to take the lens of selfishness off of some of you, and I really want you to gravitate. I'm only harping on this because I need you to actually accept the idea that in this way, I need to be ahead of my time. It's one of the most unselfish things that you can do. Rather than thinking about, am I creating some system or some crutch for my children and their children and their children to become spoiled from or anything like that. And I know there's no real ultimate guarantees in what somebody themselves may do 10 generations down, but at least try. But rather than thinking about it from the standpoint of, I'm going to leave them a crutch or something like that. Think about it this way. You're leaving them freedom. There's a biblical idea that the borrower is slave to the lender. So if there's any way that I can prevent the slavery of having to borrow, especially, I know all of your theories about how there's a proper way to borrow and there's ways you can get around taxes and there's ways that you can get around owning things on paper and stuff like that for your long-term benefit. I know of the wealthy habits and things like that. So I'm not talking about billionaire Joe borrowing so they could build the next $1 billion empire. I'm talking about Joe Schmo, right? Who's come into the world with nothing and was not thought about enough, wasn't taking responsibility for enough to be able to have a clear way or just the greatest option out of slavery that can come from borrowing and things like that, and cycles that keep people behind and borrowing, robbing Paul to pay Peter, or however it's phrased. Think about the opportunity to establish some means of freedom. Now, I'm not telling you, I understand what you leave in a child is more important than what you leave to them and things like that. Listen, I'm not absent of all of those thoughts. I'm not absent of those realities. But you know what you should do? Even though leaving something in them is more important, why wouldn't you do both? All right. You know what? Let me give you the best example of this. I love thoughtful things, right? I love to do thoughtful things, right? If you get a letter from me or something like that, or if you get a birthday card or something like that, then I love thoughtful ones. I love going into the store and finding the ones that actually have some gifted people behind them, some poets, some people that really thought through what they're going to say. The funny ones are good too. They're just short and vulgar sometimes, I guess, whatever the thing is. But I'm saying, like, the thoughtful ones, I'm into that personally because maybe I'm a thoughtful person. All right. But you have these thoughtful cards that come, and listen, in moments to where someone may give you a thoughtful card or something that may speak to your future, may encourage you. If it's a get well thing, they outline 4 different healing scriptures in there or something like that, and told you to make sure you're believing and still standing on the fact that Jesus has become healing for you and all these things, however they say it. All right. That's good. That's great. I love what you're leaving in somebody by giving them a card. But if I got a medical bill and I'm down in my spirit, it's better to solve both issues. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if I got to eat while I'm out of work, can you leave something in the card and in the card? You know what I mean? All right. So again, away with the arguments of I'm just going to leave something in my children, principally, and all these things. No, leave to your children also. All right. Save them from the slavery that is possible for the many of us who have come into the world and not had a leg to stand on and things like that. And all this is I'm not talking from like personal testimony and there's some bitterness or nothing like that. I'm just being realistic. I'm saying this is my aim also. Okay. And personal testimony can help in that. But at the end of the day, I just believe it should be everybody's thing. All right. And for a myriad of reasons, but for some of the main ones I just gave you. One more time, all I'm trying to do is convince you of the obligation you should feel, the responsibility you should feel for being ahead of your time. It's very important when we come back. And let me outline that this Iexist Nation, this whole thing that we're doing, is to also help along with that for many of you. I care about both the practical and the principle. Okay? We don't just want to leave something in you as an organization, as a corporation. All right? We want to practically leave something to you. Actually. All right? We're not just here to solve principal problems. I'd like to solve, I will solve, as a conglomerate, all the people involved will solve practical issues too. I just don't believe in being one-sided that way. It's not actually helpful. To be very honest with you, the principle is a lot easier to solve if the practical is out of the way. I'm being very honest with you. I've said this when the nation has been in certain predicaments and people are like, right now we need more conversations about social justice. Right now we need more conversations about, racism, tribalism. We need more conversation about the politics and what way we should go concerning and a bunch of principle matters, right? And at a certain point, I'm like, we can always have those conversations. I'm saying they're necessary as a country, as a nation, things like that. But if fruit was $15 for a cup, I'm being very honest with you. It's going to be very hard to solve a social issue if I can't eat. Being very honest with you. If I don't got the gas to get to your house to have a discussion or a debate or whatever it is, it's going to be very hard. So we can't just be about solving the principle. You got to solve the practical too. Actually, the more integrated your life becomes with truth, knowledge, understanding, you start to realize they go hand in hand. How can I assume spiritual expertise and I have no aligning physical proof? I don't know how that's possible. All right. If I don't have peace that passes all understanding, if I don't have, I don't even want to use joy unspeakable, but abundant. Let's say that. If I don't have certain fruit, and that's a whole nother conversation about what fruit is and things like that. All right. But if I don't have any manifestation for the expertise I'm claiming, then what is it for? Do I honestly have it? Is what we have to start asking ourselves. And abundance is just a part of the process. I know that's not like a popular thing, but if a good man leaves an inheritance, then I ought to want to start living ahead of my time. Okay, that's the last phrase I have on that. So when we come back, and again, I say, this is what we're here for some of you, for a lot of you. We want to help upstart that process in your life. How can I have a desire for what I don't even know I should desire? That's what this specific presentation is about. Hear me, you should desire it. When we come back, I will give some practical points on how to start manifesting, being ahead of your time. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to become a visionary if you're a managerial mind and things like that. I'm going to give actual advice, actual principle, and practical things that are going to help you start getting ahead of your time. I love it. All right, let's go. Hey, if you're enjoying the masterclass thus far, I have a couple things that I'm willing to bet that you'll enjoy either just as much or even more. The first of those things is Wisdom for Days. It's my new book, and it is a compilation of 306 quotes that I've put together over years of experiences that are personal to me, that I know will help you out in your everyday life. Listen, it's just a great book. I highly recommend it to you. I want you to get it. You can get it at becomingallthatweare.com. Also, while you're there, pick up my book, A New Home. Go to the website. You can see all the details about it. It's a book that I've geared towards leaders that really will help you if you're feeling like you don't fit in life, as if you stand out in some type of way that you may not want to, but you just can't help it. This is all about how to get rid of your need to fit in and really stand out and be the person that you were created to be. The third thing that I want to tell you about is my podcast.
Living the Dream. It is an Iexist podcast that I developed a few years ago that has tons and loads of great information, wisdom, insight. I gear it towards the people who need the reality of living the dream. I know that talking about the dream is one thing, but to live it is an entirely different thing. And if you want insight in what it's like to actually live a dream, that is the podcast for you. Go pick these things up. Go listen to these things. They'll continue to help you on your journey to progression, to freedom.
Freedom, such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. A freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a life full of fulfillment.
Welcome to an Iexist Masterclass. Hey, if you're enjoying the masterclass thus far, I have a couple things that I'm willing to bet that you'll enjoy either just as much or even more. The first of those things is Wisdom for Days. It's my new book, and it is a compilation of 306 quotes that I've put together over years of experiences that are personal to me, that I know will help you out in your everyday life. Listen, it's just a great book. I highly recommend it to you. I want you to get it. You can get it at becomingallthatweare.com. Also, while you're there, pick up my book, A New Home. Go to the website. You can see all the details about it. It's a book that I've geared towards leaders that really will help you if you're feeling like you don't fit in life, as if you stand out in some type of way that you may not want to, but you just can't help it. This is all about how to get rid of your need to fit in and really stand out and be the person that you were created to be. The third thing that I want to tell you about is my podcast, Living the Dream. It is an Iexist podcast that I developed a few years ago that has tons and loads of great information, wisdom, insight. I gear towards the people who need the reality of living the dream. I know that talking about the dream is one thing, but to live it is an entirely different thing. And if you want insight in what it's like to actually live a dream, that is the podcast for you. Go pick these things up. Go listen to these things. They'll continue to help you on your journey to progression, to freedom.
Freedom, such an elusive concept for many, available to all, yet grasped by few. A freely given birthright, yet more costly in its expression than most believe they can afford. But what is the cost to live without it? Wars have been forged over it, and yet it belongs to the peaceful. Slaves have been made in their master's attempt to barter his or her way into its city gates. But the gates of freedom are not open to the despot. Freedom is not accepted by the weak. It is the way of the strong, the gateway to growth, progress, and ultimately for everyone, a life full of fulfillment.
Welcome to an Iexist Masterclass.
Sinatra's song My Way, I Did It My Way, should be his theme song forever because he did it his way. He didn't wait for anybody to tell him how to do it. He did it his way.
Why you worry about me? Why you worry about me? Worry about me is whatever I should. Yeah.
You say there's really no way to win. You say the pressure's too much giving. You should just hold your breath, cause I say I'll do this my way. Can't understand why you're worried about me. Made up my mind that I would be free. So just keep that to yourself, cause I say I'll do this my way.
Hold up. They like, B, why you all in this rap-ish? I'm starting to feel like you capping. I'm starting to feel like you acting. I'm starting to feel I'm being catfished through touchy subjects and ad-libs. Are you a preacher, man? Or a lyricist? Cause I don't really know if this hat fits. I'm like, wow, that's how you feel. I guess I just keep it all to myself. Won't no opinions. I don't need your help. But since you asked, let me share this wealth. Pay attention. Thing is, I'm both full of wisdom, full of wealth, full of God, still a earth shell. Ain't into sorcery, but I break spells. Learn to bring heaven, cause I've been through hell. Into trust funds, but I don't trust well. I'm a businessman and I'm God's man. Got a nurse brand and I dress well. I'm a lamb dressed in wolf's clothes. I'm a lion dressed in a man's robe. Dealt a bad hand, but I don't ever fold. I'm a high priest with no church clothes. Look, no cap. So you really mad cause I don't do what you do? Man. Think I'm a fool cause I don't choose what you choose. Still living well while I break all the rules. Looks like you might have this whole thing confused. Y'all hypocrites are like 9 people, but when it comes to hats, I can't wear a few. Stop playing.
You say there's really no way to win. You say the pressure's too much giving. You should just hold your breath, cause I say I'll do this my way. Can't understand why you're worried about me. Made up my mind that I would be free. So just keep that to yourself, cause I say I'll do this my way.
Yeah. Say it's about what I say. It's about what I say. It's about what I. Yeah. Why you worry about me? Why you worry about me? It ain't about what you see, it's about what I see. It ain't about what you say, it's about what I say. It's about what I say. Why you worry about me? Why won't you let me be? Why you worry about me? It's about what I see. It ain't about what you say, it's about what I say. It's about what I say.
Dope. All right. So we're back. Happy to have you back. Hope you made it this far. I want you to know that I don't hope you made it this far for new followers or anything like that. Trust me. Now, here's the crazy thing. People think I'm presenting from an unself-aware standpoint. I understand how hard certain things are to consume. Nobody, how many of us in general actually like school? Are there some of us? 100%. All right. We call this the classroom. I call everyone out there, again, affectionately, the hall participants, right? We ain't the chat, you the hall, all right? And I get it. I'm more so just proud, to be very honest with you. If I'm saying, hey, welcome back, I'm glad you made it back, I'm proud because this is an investment. And I want you to understand that to sit through, to listen to something that otherwise sometimes could be material that you would not because it's of the educational format. I mean, this isn't, we aren't Nat Geo yet. I don't have like parrots flying around and stuff like that that might make this a little bit more interesting. I get it. Believe me. Right now, I'm a nerd to a certain degree for sure. Like I can sit down and listen to information a lot and, things like that. I'll read a book. I got a few. All right. But by the way, I don't think I've ever said on a live that I have books. You saw it in the commercial, but I'm saying I never said that these two on top are my books. All right. So we got A New Home. I'm not going to re-advertise them for you, and then we got Wisdom for Days. Wisdom for Days is my latest. We got more to come. I won't speak too soon on those. I won't be a futurist right now. I got a few, now that I think about it, that I'm excited about. And those are good books. You should just buy them, all right? I'm re-advertising them by saying this. I lied. Okay, so I'm going to re-advertise them a little bit. You need to buy these books. Wisdom for Days. I knew I had made, no, I was kidding. I knew this was significant when someone told me in passing who had bought the book that they had this book beside their Bible and their Joyce Meyer daily devotional. And I was like, wow, such a beautiful compliment to be beside either, to be honest with you, but to have that in their routine, in their morning routine. I'm just telling you it's good stuff, all right? If you don't know who Joyce Meyer is or whatever, or if you've never read the Bible, just know I'm saying it's good stuff. That's all I'm saying. Bible's still the #1 selling book in history, okay? Just know it's good stuff, all right? I didn't say it. The lady said it, okay? Just for context. I'm just saying it's a good book. All right, A New Home. It's a very great book for leaders. It kind of outlines a little bit of personal testimony, but please get it if you are struggling with the idea of standing out. All right. There is no way to be a light and be in obscurity at the same time. Right? No one lights a candle and puts it under a bowl. That's actually a biblical text. And I'm saying that to say, if God lightened you, he ain't going to hide you. You get what I'm saying? It's a point. There is no point for you to be full of wisdom, full of knowledge, full of understanding, full of power, full of anything good that another human can use, and then for you to live your life in obscurity. All right. So that's for those of you who are struggling with your need to fit in and need a little bit of awareness about your uniqueness and strength towards your standing out, okay? You need that book too. Both very good books. You can get it honestly on our website. It doesn't say this because I like our packaging, but you can get it on Amazon too. All right. Okay. So getting back to the presentation super quickly. I'm predicting this will be of the shorter nature, probably of the shortest of our presentations thus far for sure. But I just wanted to cover something super quickly for you. I need you to kind of start seeing practically how it is that you can begin to get ahead of your time. So in one of the previous conversations to have and to hold, I talked a good bit about giving because I wanted you to make a distinction in your mind between the ideas of giving and investing. All right. I told you that when you give, you need to completely detach yourself from the giving. And a lot of us do not reap in life because we're saying to people that we're giving, but we're really expecting some type of exchange. All right. So I need to know when I'm giving and I need to know when I'm investing. Why do I need to know when I'm investing versus when I'm giving? Because when I'm investing, it's intentional. Sowing, investing is intentional, which also makes reaping intentional. Let me be very honest with you. Everyone who has succeeded to a dramatic extent, to a large extent in their life, has led their life from an investment mentality. Okay? Which means that let me say it to you this way. A lot of you don't have as much as you would like to give because you're doing too much giving. Maybe a little controversial statement for somebody. All right. You need to lead a life of investment, right? And then out of your surplus, you can give, because there's hardly, I'm going to be very honest with you. If I am dirt poor, in reality, I'm being honest with you, it's a little bit harder to give and it not be something, or in it be something that you can just detach yourself from, because it'll hurt a lot more every time. So it's actually human nature to want something in return for what it is that you're giving, especially when you're giving out of what you don't really have to give. All right. You're looking for something to come back all the time because you're like, listen, this is way more sacrificial than I would like it to be. In these cases, I'm just letting you know, please don't ever be stingy in your life. Okay. It's not a good habit. At the same time, if you lead your life with an investment mentality, all right, which means that I'm sowing all the time, I'm investing all the time, the surplus that can come from you having a sowing or an investing mentality, what I'm saying is leading with it, the surplus you can gain will give you enough to be able to give and literally not even care about it. Any of you watching should be able to let $1,000 go and not even think about it. Okay? Not to say that some of you can't. I'm just saying all of us should be able to. But I'm giving you the first key, by the way. You need to lead an investment lifestyle. Now, in you leading an investment lifestyle, I don't need you to just think money, although that's very important. All right. So A person who leads a life of investment is always thinking investment concerning everything. I'll tell you about me. I think investment when it comes down to my timeline, social media timeline. I think investment when it comes down to my phone line. I think investment when it comes down to TV. I don't watch a lot of stuff that doesn't either bring me joy, inspire me, or I don't want to watch things that is going to put filth in me, right? Because I'm in control of that, right? I have a remote control. I'm controlling what I'm putting in myself because I understand all that I'm doing, particularly as an investment. All right. Now, what I feel is investment worthy is different from what you may feel is investment worthy. So I can't just blanket statement, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. You know, there's a lot of us that are like, don't watch the news, right? Well, if you want to grow up, quote, quote, and be a presenter on the news, you might need to watch it. You know what I'm saying? All right. So I won't blanket statement anything. Now, whether I watch it or not is another conversation. All right. But why am I saying this? What's investment worthy to me may not be investment worthy to you, but you need to figure out what invests or what you should be investing your time, energy, money. When we're talking about people, conversations, when we're talking about what I should be doing with my day, how much time should I be spending? Listen, to have an investment mindset will actually bridge you over to taking your life seriously enough to even start producing a harvest in your life. All right. Who should I even be investing these type of things in? You know, there's people who would want to start an argument with Bryan today who couldn't if they wanted to. It would just be talking to a dead zone of silence. They would be yelling into the void. Why? It's not worth my time. Sounds bad, I know, upon first hearing it, because, you know, well, why are there not, you know, the empathetic bone in people? Listen, it's not worth my time. Some of you get into arguments that are not worth your time, is all I'm saying, right? And let's not even say that person, that's not saying a person doesn't have any value. I said the argument isn't worth your time. For what? I don't have anything to prove. Zero. Literally doesn't matter. If you're consuming this content, it's because I want to help. That's all. Okay. That's an area of investment. What am I investing my time into? My conversations. There was a time to where you could get Bryan on the line and talk for 4 or 5 hours. And I still enjoy it maybe once every now and then. All right. And get a whole bunch of wisdom and knowledge, because as much as you don't realize it, some of you, but teaching for me, it is a gift. So I get refueled as I'm doing it. For me to say something, I'm hearing what I'm saying too. And some of you may say, wow, that point hit. And I'm like, wow, that point hit. Right? Because my ears work too, according to what's coming out. And spoken word just has that effect. It's for the hearer and for the speaker or the sayer. Okay? It's double-edged that way. So there's a time. So I'm saying I would enjoy it enough to speak X amount of hours. But see, moving along in life and things like that, you start realizing this ain't turning too much profit. I did a very good podcast called Progress is the Point. And I did another really good podcast. You need to write both of these down if you want to get some really in-depth, longer subject matter on what I'm talking about now, having an investment mentality. I did another podcast called Getting Out of the Gray. Getting Out of the Gray. And what's the first one I just said? Progress is the point. Progress is the point. And so both of those talk in-depthly on a deeper scale than I'm willing to go right now about how we should invest our time and things like that. And I'll bring out this one point from Getting Out of the Gray. After a while, see, there's things, and here's where, and I'm sorry, I'm trying not to open up another vein by going here, but let me just say this to you real quick. There are some things that you can do that are not even bad. All right, we're talking about an investment mentality. It's not a bad thing at all, but it's not profiting you anything. It's okay to do. We're not talking about immoral things. We're not talking about things that are going to land you in prison, right? But is it profiting you? This is the type of mentality you should start taking on. Every day, every moment of the day, me doing this, is this profiting me in some type of way? It's an investment mentality, all right? Now, not to throw money out of the gate on that conversation. I told you it was important too, but even now, and I'm only talking more about investment because I didn't talk about it so much in To Have and to Hold. Leading an investment minded lifestyle means I also invest with my money. This is the difference between money, or you working for money, and then money working for you. All right. Is your money working for you? I can talk about this from an entrepreneurial standpoint. I can talk about this from an investment mindset. And when I'm talking investment, I'm saying those of you who care about certain stocks and, the idea of bonds and certain funds and types of accounts that draw particular types of interest and all these things. All right. Like, there's plenty of ways that you can get this thing, and I don't have time to get into it today. But what I'm talking about is, am I allowing these things to work? So hear me. Some of you have overgiven, is the truth. You gave everything away, and I'm going to be very honest with you. I know this is maybe new, but even in your giving all of it away, you've still eaten your seed. Because it doesn't matter if you ate it or if somebody else ate it, it's gone. I gave all of my money away to this, to this, to this, to this, to this, because I'm such a giver. And you never invested. So no matter how you look at it, your seed, your investment material has been completely chewed up. So I shouldn't overgive in any situation, right? I need to have, I believe personally, you should lead your life with investment, okay? So we won't talk about this either, right? But I said a few episodes ago, this whole idea of people operating, and I said it's strong. God doesn't want your money. All right. This is just a tiny piece of spiritual. Don't get thrown off by this. I said, God doesn't want your money. But then I followed that up with, but you can use physical things to accomplish spiritual goal points and things like that. All right. Faith is the access code. I've heard it said this way before. It's good. That faith is the currency of heaven. God don't want your money. He loves your faith, your trust in him. Okay. All right. So don't even get, why am I saying this? Just to correct a couple things. Do not say you're sowing or investing, but if you're doing it with money in a spiritual way, you're normally going to say sowing. Don't say you're sowing to anything or to anyone or to any particular predicament what you have not attached faith to. Because if faith is not attached to it, God can't receive it. Okay? That's how you can, and that's just the beginning of the conversation, start to accomplish spiritual things with physical items like money, and it goes on to more like that. What's the access point to the spirituality. It's just faith. Okay. All right. Now that that's out of the way, still hear me. You got to lead with an investment mindset. So that's number one. Like I said, I'll only give you two really quickly. The second thing you want to do, let me remind you one more time, just to button up that first point. Lead with an investment mentality. Start looking everywhere. Start looking to use your money only towards investments. And then do what, Bryan? Give, still, be generous out of your surplus. Okay? You can't give if you don't have anything to give. And a lot of you are giving over what you need to give because you don't have any surplus. But why is that? I need to lead with an investment mentality. All right? Time, everything. Okay, number two, really quickly. I want to take that getting ahead of your time to another level really quickly. So now that we have an investment mentality, here's where we got to start thinking. Now we can start literally digging out or bringing awareness in our lives around what we're actually investing and what we're actually giving. Once you got a firm grasp on the fact that some of you have been giving and calling it investing, and some of you have been investing and calling it giving and things like that. As soon as you have a firm grasp on those concepts, now I got to start asking myself, how often can I do this? All right. I can start taking control of how often I do specifically what I am intending to do. All right. If I know when I'm giving now, I can take control of how often and when I'm actually giving. If I know when I'm investing, I can take control and have full knowledge of when I'm investing. Why is this important? Because the more I take control, the more I can actually start reaping according to what I'm actually investing. I can start harvesting according to actually what I'm investing because I know when I'm investing now. So here's the idea of getting ahead of your time very quickly. The truth of the matter is now, it's very important. There's a whole side to this conversation that talks about, or that has to do with making sure you're sowing, investing the appropriate seed into the appropriate ground, things like that. That's a whole side to it, but I'm going to skip past that in a second. And by that, I just mean, listen, if you are a teacher, you shouldn't be going to look for a job. And let's say you're a college professor by both trade, but by gifting, for you to go look up jobs under NASA's tag for, or even their advertisement for the next 5 to 7 astronauts that are going to go into space, would be you, let's say, sowing the seed of your resume to the wrong ground. All right. They didn't say anything about college professors. They want astronauts. All right. People that are knowledgeable in that field, who are daring enough and all those things, who's brave enough to take on the new world in space or whatever the mission is. Right. So simple example, but that's just contextually what I'm saying. You got to make sure, I've said this before, and I know we're some of you's cup of tea, right? I know that I'll reach many of you. Some of you, not so much. I'm okay with that, all right? For me, that would be improper ground if I'm not for you to be trying to invest into, all right? And that's just how it is, okay? That's simple conversation and understanding around that. But let's move on to the idea that you are the teacher who is, or the college professor that's going to colleges that make sense, that are hiring the subject that you want to teach and things like that. All that's taken care of. You laid the groundwork for knowing who you are, where it is you should invest your time and energy and resume in this example. Now, the question becomes, how do I start getting ahead of my time? Practically. All right. So normally if somebody's trying to make more money, which is a way that this can be looked at, they're like, I'm going to go get 2-3 jobs, things like that. But here's how I want to conceptually dig out an idea for you. Remember, we talked about getting ahead of your time. For me to outpace my lifetime, I have to look at the same amount of time that we're all given, let's say 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, 12 months in a year, etc. I have to look at a specific amount of time and start to rewire not only how I look at that time, but actually increase my harvest by both my pace and the amount of seed that I'm putting down. Okay. How do I practically begin to start getting ahead of my time? I have to do more. This is just a basic understanding in less time. We already started from the foundation of I need to be investment minded. I already tackled the idea very quickly that not only being investment minded is important, but also making sure I'm investing the proper seed in the proper places. Once I figured out those things, which you can learn how to do more specifically, we'll code that out for you inside the nation, for you specifically, not for the group, for you specifically. That's a very high benefit of coaching, that you get to do it personally, one-to-one, even in the nation. All right. Advertisement point, unapologetic advertisement point. Okay. Once you've learned those things, now the only thing left for me to do is multiply my seed and my pace. So we hear this phrase, some of us often, especially if you're in the space of receiving, from the self-help guru or whatever the thing is, right? Or you listen to the entrepreneur who says, hey guys, we all got the same 24 hours. I've heard it said this way: Beyonce got the same 24 hours as you. All right. And people normally say that to say, look how much success she's gathered from the investment she's made that has created a particular outcome. Now, again, let's use that life for an example. We're talking about the right seed, right? The investment of entertainment. If I'm an entertainer, into the right spaces, right people that are eventually going to grow me and put me on this particular stage eventually in life. I'm eventually going to reap the harvest of sowing the right seed in the proper places and the amount of seeds. Now I got to look at how many albums I've done. I got to look at how many tours I've done. I got to look at, so listen, she would obviously outpace some of the other artists and things like that who only have one album, who only have one tour to their name and things like that, right? You can't look at that. You can't look at her in specific and say, hey, well, I don't know why she's making so much more money than artist so-and-so, right? Who's just as great of a singer. Why is this such a practical point? Because everybody can do something about the amount of seed and the pace at which you sow. Everybody has the quote, quote, same 24 for hours. This is where you start to realize that even that being a genius won't make any sense, won't bring you any more fame or fortune or anything if I'm not willing to sow the seed of my genius. It's not me calling myself, please. I'm saying if I am a genius, if I'm not willing to sow it, the seed of my genius into the proper places, number one, I automatically fail. Number two, if I don't do it often enough, I can only reap so much. Okay? So let's look at it as the amount of ways I can invest genius into a particular space. I love, someone help me. I should have studied this. I know. George Washington Carver, I was taught a long time ago, is the guy that took one element called the peanut. It made, I don't know, someone Google for me, please. How many inventions, how many ways was this one normally used for food element used for? So while they're looking it up, this becomes the idea and example of using your gift. All right. I'm really helping you if you're paying attention. We're talking about being able to take one thing, because we've all been gifted at least one thing by God to do on this planet. All right. More than 300 products from peanuts. I love this. So you got one man that's got one gift with one item. Hear me. He didn't have to do everything. He had to find one thing he did well and outrun everybody else with this one thing. There's people who only took peanuts and packaged them, boiled them, salted them, packaged them, and gave them to you, and they were content. I promise you, the person, hear me, does not have as large of a name as the individual who multiplied times over his effort, his or her effort, to make 300 times the resource out of one product. Okay? That's going to be a hard argument for some of you, because you're going to be like, well, Planters is a pretty big name or whatever. I don't know who owns Planters. I'll just be honest with you. All right. So here's what I need you to see. Can you exhaust what you have in multiple ways in a condensed amount of time? Because we're just talking about how to outrun your life. Let me say this I don't know how you'll receive this, but all I want to say is a lot of you are doing good already. Number one, some of you have set an okay foundation, 100%. You're stable-minded. You show up for work. You do what you're being asked to do. You know, you do it in a timely fashion or whatever's being required of you. All right. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing already. So we're not talking about necessarily, unless you're just in the wrong path, on the wrong career path or something like that. We're not talking about uprooting you and putting you somewhere else that maybe you don't belong, or that you don't belong or something like that. If you're in a career that you love and things like that, and you got one thing you do well, but you're only doing it twice a week, that's cool. All right. You're already doing good. I'm telling you, that in order to outpace your life, to start thinking about the great grand or the grandchild, the great grandchild, I got to do more in less time. I brought up Beyonce earlier. You start listening to maybe in one of her songs, the idea of what's being left as a legacy or an inheritance. I already got this whole complex set aside for my children. What I'm saying is some of these people, all they've done, it ain't about the genius of the gift and it being more qualitative than the genius of your gift and things like that. They learn to outpace others. This is where hard work and proper sowing meet. Okay. So last example in terms of time, if I got 1 week that I've normally only showed up, which is a good job, to my job, done what was asked of me, things like that, I get a paycheck, a subsequent paycheck, maybe a week later or 2 weeks, however, often you get paid. But let's just look at 1 work week. Now, hopefully I've discovered my gifts and things like that by even being in this workplace. But now I need to start multiplying how many seeds, because that's a seed. Listen, you're reaping a harvest. So you're sowing the seed of your time, energy, your gift, your work, things like that to a particular individual organization. They're giving you a paycheck for it. That's a seed harvest situation. I got to figure out how much more, if I could live the rest of my life, contently end up retiring and things like that off of what I'm currently doing, again, that's fine. But we want to get ahead of our time. I want to start thinking about the people after me, things like that. I have to start outpacing my own life. I can't do that with a regimen that's only going to cover my life. I got to start adding things to more seed. Maybe I find another way to use the gift that the people are requiring of me on a particular job. Right? Okay, I found out that I have the gift of gab now. I found out that I have the gift of computing now. I found out that I have the gift of helps. I found out that I love to clean by doing janitorial service here. Is there any way I can multiply those efforts? Because I can use my gift and sow it in another way, maybe even the same day. Can I sow it 3 times in a day rather than 1? All right. Maybe that's a little side business. Maybe that's, well, I was going to say something I shouldn't say. Don't do this. I was going to say, maybe you can get paid under the day, by somebody else to do it as a side hustle. You understand what I'm saying? All right. Don't do that. But you can say peace to the IRS right there. But so are there multiple ways you can use that one gift? That's one way of looking at it. Okay. Can you do it 3 times in a day? I did it for 4 hours here. I did it for 6 hours here. Right. That's a good portion of your day, but some of you are already working 12 hours anyway. All right. Can I squeeze another 2 hours doing that same thing somewhere else? All right. That's a way to look at it. There's another way you can look at it too that has to just do with, again, let's say that I take the money from whatever job that's been giving it to me. Now, can I use a portion of that for seed and put it in multiple areas? Can I put a little bit over here in the S&P 500? I hope I said that right. All right. This stock market venture. Can I put a little bit of it towards another business? Can I start buying the things that I need to create the vlog I've always wanted to do, the streaming I've always wanted to do, things like that? It's just a sower's lifestyle. I hope I'm being heard by you out there, not only in the hall, but wherever. All right. Multiply your efforts. It's simple. I need to see how much I can do in a particular amount of time because it's a simple, quick way to outpace my life. All you got to think is this. Here's the real trait. Here's the real treat. That the more seed you sow, the more harvest, especially the appropriate seed in the right place, the more harvest you will have. The more I know that I'm a coach and I can reach the people I'm meant to be effective, if I can multiply the amount of people that I'm reaching who are willing to, who find what I do investment worthy, I've multiplied my harvest. It's that simple. But I have to approach this from an investment mindset. Now it's like, can I reach 4 people in a day? Can I multiply that to 8, to 10? Content creators, how many pieces of content can you do in a day? This is really simple. Because increasing your pace, I'm loving seeing some of the streamers that are doing like just immaculate things, to be honest with you, who are like, I'm not going to stop streaming ever. I'm going to have more streaming time than anybody in the history of man. You know what I mean? And they're like streaming 3-4 years in a row. Okay. Or that's the attempt. Literally. What are they doing? A lot of them have already outpaced their own life because the rate and the amount of seed that they're willing to invest. If you can take on an investor's mindset, this is all I'm saying. Lastly, the larger the seed, and don't just think about that in terms of size. I'm saying the quantity, the larger the harvest. Such a simple concept. All I'm saying to you is some of you have to get on the seeding side of things because you've been giving and trying to call it seeding, or you've been sowing and trying to call it giving, and you have to be very specific. You have to be very intentional about what it is in order to reap. An investment should be called an investment, and I should know when I'm doing it directly every single time, and I should be doing it with a lot of intention for a specific harvest. So here's the code. You get out of life what you put into it. And I'm saying that specifically for this idea of sowing or investing and reaping, harvesting, or getting a return on investment. The more you lead, that just came out. I didn't even mean to say lead. The more you lead, that popped out of me literally. The more you lead an investor's lifestyle, all right, the more harvest you will start to reap. I don't have time to go into everything, and I'm not going to go into everything. You know why? Because this is my investment into you. You know what? I expect to reap a harvest of those of you who can hear, who are willing to hear within the Iexist nation. Where there's more, there's plenty, there's an abundance of all you need to start leading a life that is full of fulfillment. I am Bryan Pharr. I appreciate your time. Thank you for going along with me this far to receive some goodness, this investment into your soul. There's more where that came from, but I want you to enjoy it, process it, think on it, find ways that you can start multiplying the harvest in your life. But in order to do that, you got to multiply your seed. I know I could have said it simply, but I needed to exhaust or to dive into a lot of angles of these things just for your mind's sake. Okay. Again, I'm Bryan Pharr. As you know, it is my desire that you would prosper. And until next time.
We hope you enjoyed our experience. If you would like to gain access to more in-depth teachings such as this one, a host of other products and services, or the opportunity to partner with others who are becoming all that they are, join our exclusive membership community. Join the nation, the Iexist Nation. All the info you need can be found in the description of this video. Until next time.
Life just keeps just keeps getting better and better. You just wait and see. You don't have to see it now in order to believe. Life just keeps getting better and better. You just wait and see. You don't have to see it now in order to believe. Better, 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 better. Oh, better, 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 better. Life just keeps getting better and better. You just wait and see. You don't have to see it now in order to believe. Life just keeps getting better and better. You just wait and see. You don't have to see it now in order to believe. Better, 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 better. Oh, better, 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 better. Oh yeah, better, ooh, better, better. Yes it is. Better, better. Oh, better. It goes up from better. Believe it. Better. Already. Better. Better. Already. Better. Better. Oh, oh.
Switch. One time, cause I got better on my mind. One time, cause I got better on my mind. One time, cause I got better on my mind. I got better on my mind. I got better on my mind.
Oh yeah.